let me know. So you got to fight Mother Nature, I guess. Greetings and welcome from the Save the Catwalk Committee. This has been a momentous occasion, and now Mother Nature is really putting the extra addition to it. There's been a lot of people that we want to recognize tonight. We want to make it short. A couple of weeks ago, Betty called me and said, would you be master of ceremonies? I said, what do you got to say? She says, nothing. All you got to do is to keep it rolling, so we'll try to keep it rolling. A couple of incidents, you know, this thing was started back in about 1903 or 4 when they decided to put the lighthouse and the catwalk together and have it out here instead of up there at the head of navigation by the old lighthouse. And so in 1944, I was a junior, about 17 years old at the high school, and the Sea Scouts were sponsored by Trinity Church. And so we'd come down to the Coast Guard station. They had a new chief by the name of Carl Jacobson, and he was real interested in Sea Scouting. So with the war being on and being short-handed, he let the Sea Scouts run the boats, do some watch standing. So I came down here one afternoon, and we got about 35 knots coming out of the northeast there, about twice what we have coming here tonight. And he said, we got to go out and check the light, because at that time, the light was turned on from the station house there inside, rather than being automated and on by itself like it is now. So he says, come on, Boot. That's what he used to call us Sea Scouts. We're going to go up there. So we got out here. It's breaking over the catwalk about like it is tonight. We started up, and it's awesome to walk along that catwalk when all that spindrift and all those waves are busting up there. So that's the first thing I remember about it. The second thing about the catwalk is in 1984, Betty Reinhardt called me at school and said, would you know somebody that could come down and tell us about the catwalk, whether it's worth saving? Later on, Jim Arnold's going to tell you a little bit about his dad saving the catwalk by not signing a paper and how it evolved to get the catwalk to stay here. So I said, yeah, I'm not an engineer, but I'll go out there and tink and hammer around. So I got out my good old Navy chipping hammer, got a step ladder in my clipboard, and there are 46 of these stanchions. And I started off about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and we went the whole distance. Now when you get down there to number 36 stanchion, that's the one down there just beyond the dog leg. That's the one that was off to one side, the pier dropped down. That was the worst one of the batch. So I'm down there tinking and hammering, and these two people from Kentucky came up and said, what are you doing? And I said, well, we're trying to find out whether or not this is a substantial structure to keep here. It's been an emblem for Michigan City for years and years, and we'd sure like to keep it here, and we've got to convince the Coast Guard not to tear it down. And so these people from Kentucky says, well, don't let them tear it down. Well, we didn't. It's here. It's still standing. Now, I don't know where those two people from Kentucky came up here tonight, but my sister and her husband, who live in Indianapolis, came up here to be with us. So that's south coming up here to the north. At this time, I'd like to call Eddie Butner, who is the chairman of the Save the Catwalk Committee, to come up and introduce his people on his committee, and also he wants to thank a few people too.
Thank you, Bob. Bob was my skipper when I was in Sea Scouts, and part of the reason that I have the feelings I do for the lakefront and the lighthouse and catwalk. A lot of you have seen me talking about the catwalk before and raising money for the catwalk, and tonight is no different. We're still raising money for the catwalk. We've changed our goal of our fundraising from the restoration to operating the lights. When the lights go on a little later, you'll see what a fantastic sight it is. Right now, we are taking donations from people to sponsor the lights on the catwalk for a month. For $50, you can be the sponsor of the lighting for 1 month. And tonight I'm going to be presenting to Pat Harris the first check for that. This is from the Michigan City Exchange-Jet Club. It's for $100, and they're sponsoring the lights for 2 months. So if you as an individual would like to sponsor the lighting, or if you belong to an organization that would like to sponsor the lights, we would be more than happy to put you on board with this program. And at this point, I'm going to turn this over to Pat. I'd like to thank all of the people who have made donations to the cause here, and you're going to see the fruits of your efforts here very shortly. Who wants to be next? Betty? Pat? Yeah. Coming up here is Betty Reinhardt. She was a member of the steering committee, and I'll let you say a few words.
All I have to say is I am thrilled. This is a success of my life, having been raised in the Lighthouse station, and I want to thank everybody who has helped us preserve this catwalk. And if my dad were here tonight, he'd be so thrilled, because the community, the state, and everybody has come behind to save this magnificent structure. Thank you all.
And this is Pat Harris, who was our treasurer.
I'd like to echo Betty's words and also say that I've had people ask why we're putting the grating back on the catwalk. It was there in 1904, and in 1929 we had one heck of a storm here that wiped out a number of the stanchions north of the dogleg, and as a result there was new drawings made which incorporated the old drawings when the catwalk was built, and we were able to duplicate what was there originally in 1904. And just to end this, you know how the weather was about 4 hours ago? My husband reminded me that if we canceled this, Harriet Colfax, who used to go out here and tend the light that was just across the harbor in her long skirts and get soaking wet and go out there at any time, day or night, would look down on us as a bunch of whips. So in tribute to her, those that came before her and all the lighthouse keepers, including Betty's father who traversed that catwalk, we're going to light that light tonight. We're not going to be whips.
It's appropriate that you mention Harriet, because tonight you can certainly see why the catwalk was necessary. The other person on our committee was Marilyn Swope, and she was our secretary. And Marilyn, would you like to come forward and say a few words?
I'm just real happy for two people tonight. It's Betty and Pat. They did a lot of work to make this come to be, and I'm just glad I was part of it.
Okay. Well, there's a group that Pat and Betty wanted me to recognize that have helped with this, and I'm using some cue cards because my mind's too short. The first one that we want to talk about is the United States Coast Guard. They were instrumental in helping preserve it. The chief of the station is on leave, but he sends his regards, and he intends to help and support as much as he can. That's Chief Carroll. Another person we have with us tonight is Linda Bell. She's with the LaPorte County Tourism. Linda, wave your hand there. Okay, thank you, Linda. Another person we couldn't do without, and that's John Rudisell. The Port Authority has really helped. John, where are you hiding? John was kind of sick today, but I'm glad to see that he's feeling better so he could get here. Thanks, John. You've done an awful lot of work for people. Brent Bachman was supposed to be here, but he stuck his car. Hey, Brent, there he is. I hate to tell you this, but Brent stuck his car down there, and that was a natural barrier for a while. We didn't know whether we were going to get all of our little machines out here to give you shuttle bus rides back and forth, but Brent's right with us right there. Thanks, Brent. The steel grating was arranged for by Joe Doyle, and everybody knows Joe. Hey, Joe, say. Gotcha. Thanks. And Kirk Burnett, he was the original design for the lighting. And John Pugh did the planning department. I've lost somebody in here. Tom Prisbalinski is from inspection. Where's Tom? And there's one other. Who'd I miss? Karen Kamich. Okay, she's from the Indiana Historic Foundation, right? And we thank you for all the help that you've given us along the line. Anybody else that I missed, raise your hand because everybody was here helping, okay? Everybody take a bow. It's now time to have the mayors talk to us. Cliff Arnold could not be with us, but Jim Arnold is going to come up and say a few words because I know his dad for years and years, old Navy buddies in some respect. I didn't serve with him, but I knew of him. And Jim, come on up here and say a few words for us.
Thank you, Smitty. I appreciate it very much. On behalf of my father, my mother, and my wife, and the entire Arnold family, it's indeed a pleasure and honor to be here tonight to address the group and to be in this most auspicious occasion. Back in 1983, an environmental impact study was presented to my father, and the purpose of that study was to an attempt to eliminate all the catwalks that are apparently around the Lake Michigan area. They'd already succeeded in eliminating all the catwalks, to my understanding, in Wisconsin. Well, my father, having a deep love for Michigan City, and especially the lakefront, and feeling that this was the most important asset of this area, refused to sign that environmental impact study and called upon Mrs. Harris and Mrs. Reinhardt to do a little talking, discussing about what they could do to preserve the catwalk. Approximately 6 months later at a meeting, my father opened his wallet and gave $100 as the first donation to preserving the catwalk. And subsequently, after 13 years, that dream has now become a reality. On behalf of the Arnold family, on behalf of my father, my mother, myself, my wife, and my children, we'd like to expend a deep appreciation and gratitude to Betty Reinhardt and Pat Harris for all they've done to continuing my father's dream. I also want to say how much I appreciate Mayor Beeler and his administration for continuing in that effort to make sure that tonight has become a reality. Once again, a sincere appreciation and a thank you from our family for allowing us to participate in these ceremonies today. Ironically, it was 8 months ago today that my father passed away, so I know that somewhere he's looking down and with a big smile on his face, thanking everyone and thanking you for coming out tonight to enjoy this occasion. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you. Okay, next in line, we're going to have Bob Beeler come up here and do a little explaining on how he was instrumental in helping getting some money for us on this outfit. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you. Excuse me, I got a 40-minute speech here.
No!
Well, first of all, as you've already heard, the effort started under Cliff Arnold. And one of the things I asked Cliff as he was leaving office, I said, what do I have to look forward to? And he said, well, what you have to look forward to is when the doors open January 2nd, Betty and Pat will be there to talk about the catwalk. And believe me, they talked about the catwalk. And it doesn't bother me at all to be standing here in this kind of weather because what I'm feeling here is nothing compared to what I felt from those two ladies for 8 years. But the effort to save this landmark, a true Michigan City landmark, you see it on the entry signs of the city, it's on the city flag, it's on the stationery, and it's on the emblems and logos of so many organizations around this area. It's become a true trademark of Michigan City. And I keep wanting to say Patty. I'm sorry, Betty and Pat, I can do that, have really been the driving force behind this. They've stayed on it. They've made sure that others have stayed involved and haven't let down. I think we made a good decision several years back when we decided that we would not accept the catwalk from the Coast Guard until the money was in place to rehabilitate it, refurbish it properly, so that we could preserve it and maintain it for our future generations. The people of Michigan City came through. We did do that. The governor came down here, stood at the lakefront, presented us with $40,000 to help the effort. It went forward. A couple years ago, we were able to get the pier resurfaced, and now we've been able to get the catwalk done. It started under Cliff Arnold. It continued through my administration. Now the torch is passed to yet another administration, and we're all gathered here tonight to put the crowning touch on the crown jewel of our lakefront, the catwalk. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. And now we'll hear from the new torchbearer, Mayor Sheila Bergeson-Brilson. Mayor?
Actually, when it's this cold, I could use a torch. I don't know about you, but it's pretty cold. I'm going to be very brief. I want to express my gratitude to Betty and Pat. Those of you who have experienced their vehement arguments for the catwalk, have listened to them, have listened to Ed Buettner give his sales pitch at the many service club organizations around the city, know how deeply they care about the city of Michigan City, and that is why the effort has gone forward over all the years. As Jim Arnold mentioned, it's been 13 years of effort. Tonight's the payoff. And Mother Nature certainly gave us a beautiful sunset, and now we've got a nice night to enjoy the actual lighting ceremony. So let the show begin. Thank you.
Thanks much, Mayor. I think it's about time now that Pat and Betty made their way up there. While they're getting there, I want to warn you, as soon as they punch on the lights, you want to watch your ears. We're going to bring back a tradition that hasn't been heard in this lakeport for years and years. Years of steam back in the 80s and the 90s of the 1800s, and the early years when the South America, North America, City of Grand Rapids, all those old excursion boats come in here. There used to be what is called the Great Lakes Salute. It's a whistle salute between steamships or carriers. They would sometimes blow it as they came into the harbor to let you know that a large steamship was coming into the area. So when they get up there and punch the lights on, the Kahlenberg horn on the Sea Scout ship tug, Little Murphy, is going to blow that Great Lakes Salute. It's 3 longs and 2 shorts. Now if there's a vessel close by, it would be repeated. And it's an honor when you have these happening. So we're going to bring back a tradition that you haven't heard for some time. So they're getting closer. Get ready to hold your ears when they get ready to punch it on.
Oh, they're coming. They're coming.